Hi there friends, Travis here. If you're new to the channel, I want to welcome you, and of course, if you've been here before, welcome back. In today's video, we're going to go over my likes, my dislikes, and I'll give some overall thoughts on my recent Carnival Breeze cruise back in February, March with my sisters. We've got Callie back there, so we know it's going to be a good one. And yeah, without any further delay, let's go ahead and move right on into the video. So as for the usual format for these kinds of videos on my channel, I'll start with the dislikes, move into the likes, and give some overall thoughts at the end to kind of get the negative stuff out of the way and end on a more positive note. But yeah, so for my first dislike, I have to ding the internet, which was a little bit surprising because this isn't the oldest ship in the fleet. It's kind of, like a decade or so old, which isn't new by any means, especially in ship terms. But you would think that the infrastructure would be in place for better, faster internet. And that's not what we experienced. It was fine most of the time, and we had premium internet, so, we had the best of the best on board. Certain websites wouldn't load, like my Southwest app, for example. I was trying to check the status of a flight for an upcoming trip, and it literally would not load. Also, SurveyMonkey, I do surveys, as a little bit of a, I would say, side hustle, but I don't make that much money with it. But, I log in and do a couple of surveys every day, and that gives me a little bit of extra spending money at the end of the month or whatever. Yeah, that didn't work on board at all. And just in general, other websites took longer to load, etc. It wasn't the worst internet I've ever experienced at sea, although that does also fall on a Carnival ship that I was on a couple years ago. Yeah, so I don't know if it was just our sailing. We were near capacity, and we did have some weather around us, which definitely affects things. So it may be, like I said, just our sailing, and that's not the norm for this ship. But it's definitely something that we all experienced multiple times throughout the week. And so I hope that's not your experience if you're going to be on Breeze in the near future. Hopefully, that was just a one-off for us. And yeah. For my next dislike, I'm gonna ding karaoke. Karaoke is something I like to do, but my sisters especially are very much into it, and so we did it pretty much every day and in pretty much every format. And Carnival's not known for having the most streamlined karaoke system. I do like the way that they do their karaoke, compared to other cruise lines that I've been on, but their system is old and it's slow, and I know that like a lot of the Fun Squad peeps don't really like to host karaoke because they know it's going to be glitchy, and we had every issue you could think of, from like the system freezing to like the order being messed up to like the microphone and cables and like all of it. Anytime we went into karaoke, we were like, what's going to go wrong today? And sure enough, something always did. So it's fun, be lighthearted about it. We laughed it off, but just to let you know, that is something that we really struggled with this cruise, and I doubt that that's being updated anytime soon because they have the same system that they've had for the last, decade or so, and doesn't seem to be going anywhere. So yeah. And the last thing I'll point out is that we did have a canceled port this sailing, and that's not at the fault of the cruise line or officers on board or anything like that. It was a weather thing, but I pointed out because we were talking to some of the crew on board on our, unexpected sea day, and they said that port, Costa Maya, gets canceled a lot, like at least once out of every 3 times they go there, especially certain times a year. But it has to do with how the port is set up. It doesn't have a lot of protection from the direct ocean. And if you've been to Costa Maya before, you'll see the waves hitting the dock and the ships, bouncing back and forth. And one time we were there with Carnival Mardi Gras, and I literally thought that it was going to be ripped off the dock. It didn't, thank goodness, but, big waves were coming up and that ship was moving and bouncing, and I was like, oh my gosh. How scary. But, so I understand why they make the decision, especially when it's windy, to, not dock there. But other ships were able to dock just fine. They got there slightly before us. So, I don't know, what the deal was. But yeah, ultimately they decided to call off that port, and we were kind of disappointed with that. My sisters had never been to Costa Maya before, and so yeah, being that there were only 2 ports on our 5-night itinerary, it kind of made for a lot of sea days, which, put us at the bar a lot, which wasn't a bad thing, but yeah. But alright, enough of the negative stuff. Let's go ahead and move on to what I did enjoy, because this was one of my favorite cruises. I love when I get to go with my sisters. We always have such a good time. This was the first time all 3 of us went together, so that was a big deal for us. And yeah, so this was not a bad sailing by any means. If you're still following along, now we can really talk about the positive stuff, which is a good thing. And the first thing I'll say is that this ship had really great crew members on board. If you read the reviews for Carnival Breeze, that is something that gets talked about a lot in the comments and, whatever. There are certain ships on every cruise line that for whatever reason, get the best crew, and, those people are swapping out constantly. But for some reason, when you put the right management on board and the right entertainers and the right, lower level people, it all works together really well. That was definitely the case for our experience on Breeze in, February, March of 2024. And being that it seems like that ship will be in Texas for the foreseeable future, I'm hoping that is the case every time we sail on her, because I'll definitely be back, I'm sure, on board Breeze and all of that. So yeah, big shout out to the crew. For my second bullet point, I'd have to say that there was some really great food on board. Carnival's been slipping, in my opinion, when it comes to food the last couple of years, and especially the main dining room. Portions have been getting smaller, quality of ingredients has gone down, flavor is, non-existent sometimes, etc. But everything we tried on this ship was very top-notch, and especially like the fast food options, we really love Blue Iguana, Guy's Burgers. You've got pizza and all that stuff, and most of it is included, unlike other cruise lines where, anything outside of the buffet is an upcharge. Carnival definitely has specialty restaurants. I'm not saying that's not an option. They have a great steakhouse, as a matter of fact. I didn't try it this sailing, but, other cruise ships that I've been on have been really great. But compared to other similar cruise lines, Carnival definitely has the most fast food options that are included. And as an American, I definitely appreciate that. You don't always want to sit down for a multi-course meal. Sometimes you just want to grab a burger and, get back to whatever it was you were doing. And Carnival makes that sort of thing very, very easy with delicious food and lots of food options. And the last thing for this list is I have to shout out the bars on board, especially the Alchemy bar. The bartenders were amazing. The drinks were good. We never waited, more than a couple of minutes for anything that we were asking for. We got very, very good service. We tipped accordingly. That definitely helps. Asking them about where they're from and how their day is going, and, generally having a conversation with them. They're at their job and they are at work a lot. Every day. They don't get days off. They only get hours off. So, after a couple months on board, they're probably craving, some social interaction and just a little bit of a reprieve from their daily grind. But Alchemy, and especially where it's situated on this ship next to Red Frog Pub and the entertainment stage and dance floor and everything right there, makes it one of the best Alchemy setups that I've ever had on Carnival. Some of them seem very much like an afterthought, but this one doesn't. It is a little bit smaller than I think it should be for the ship, and so it does get a little crowded over there. But yeah, overall, love, love, love Alchemy. Love the bars on board Carnival Breeze. And just to close things out, I'll give some final thoughts for you all. This was a fun cruise, as I've said. I enjoyed my time with my sisters. We're siblings, but also friends. I know that's not always the case for people, but we've always been really close growing up, and now as adults, we're friends, and our children are friends, and, that sort of thing. So that's a good thing. This was all of our first time on Carnival Breeze, and I'd gone out of Galveston before, but neither of my sisters have. My sister Heather and I do live in Texas. I'm in San Antonio. She's up in Gerald, which is north of Austin, and so that's our home port. It's drivable from both locations. We actually did drive this trip. Without traffic, it takes about 3.5 hours to get there from here. With traffic, it can take quite a bit more. We always go up the night before. It just makes more sense to do that, so we're not rushing to get to like a certain time slot to board the ship. And also, the hotels in Galveston, a lot of them will park your car for the week, so it usually costs the same, if not only a few dollars more, to park at the hotel versus at the cruise port. Entertainment was good, food was good, internet not so good, and what else? Costa Maya is not my favorite port. That port ended up being canceled. Cozumel's good. It was great that we got to go there. There's a lot to do there, but it does get repetitive. Going out of the Gulf on both the Texas and Florida side, you're gonna just be doing Western Caribbean, and that's about it, unless it's a longer sailing. But I think that the cruises are relatively inexpensive out of Galveston. So if you're looking to cruise Texas style, that might be the way to go for you. And I think that's it. Let me know in the comments below if you're going to be on Breeze soon and, you're watching this video as research or whatever for that, or if you've been on Breeze before and, just stumbled across this video and have made it all the way this far. Let me know you're here. Let's open up the comments, to those discussions. If you have any questions, I'll do my best to answer them. Other people in the comments will probably chime in as well, but I guess that's it. I want to thank you all so much for traveling with me. Be sure to like, comment, share, subscribe, all those fun things. We'll talk soon, and y'all have a good night.